Here we are on the CEO Parenting Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. I am with a great friend of mine, BJ Ellis. Now, the hardest part about doing these is I know BJ extremely well, and I know a lot of the answers that I'm going to ask, but he has to give context for who he is and things like that. So I'm going to ask questions to him about things I already know about, but we intentionally didn't ask each other questions when he walked in the door, just simply because we wanted to have a good experience with each other and also for you guys. So BJ Ellis, a great friend of mine, and we'll find out here in just a minute. We have very, very similar backgrounds, like probably extremely, I mean, down to our wives.
Yep. Extremely
similar backgrounds that I'm going to get him to explain, which I think gives us something very, very easily to relate to. BJ, I'm gonna let you give me this a 90-second version of you, BJ.
Yeah. So first, let's start with the questions and the answers right now, and I don't know either.
You don't know either. Yeah, that's you're really
Thomas
screwed.
Cox thing right there. Yeah. So BJ Ellis, I was a college basketball coach for 10, 11 years. Played college.
Similarity number one.
Yep. Played college basketball. Got out of that, wanted to be there for my kids. I realized I was raising other people's kids and not my own. So I got out, went to a recruiting company for a year, went to a media entity for a couple years, and now I'm at an advertising agency. 3 daughters. Wife is the best thing about me by far, similar to you.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
I was, not to get down any paths right now, but I was talking to a young guy, and I said, man, the most important decision outside of your faith is going to be who you decide to spend the rest of your life with, because you can either swim downstream or swim upstream. And me and you are swimming downstream.
That's right, we are. No. So BJ is the president of Telegraph. Telegraph is a agency here in Birmingham who does wonderful work. He is part owner of that agency with Cliff Sims. Cliff is a great friend of BJ's. How long have you known Cliff? 20 years?
Yeah, at least.
Y'all go back to basketball days, right?
Yeah, we knew each other in high school, and then we were roommates in junior college together. Won a state champ. I should have brought my rings.
You should have brought your rings. Yeah, exactly.
Here?
Tell us about Telegraph, because I think that what you guys have done, because I knew you on the back end of the Yellowhammer days.
Yep.
So help me recap this. Short version is Cliff owned Yellowhammer,
right,
and brought you. He got, when Trump got elected, he went to work for Donald Trump at the White House, and was at the White House for almost 2 years, right?
Correct.
But when he went to go to work for President Trump, you took over and helped run the Yellowhammer.
I did. Yeah.
And when you did that, I'm foggy on the exit of that. So when Cliff got done with working at the White House, how did the transition go? I forget.
So I was with Cliff for about 6 months at Yellowhammer.
Right.
Come here to do this.
6 months.
This will be great. Then,
working with my boy.
Me and my guy are together. Right. We're going to be able to play video games every night. This is great. And then he bounces. I became CEO, so I did that for about 2.5 years.
Okay, I remember that.
He got out of the White House, wrote a book, New York Times bestseller. Had offers to go everywhere, decided he wanted to raise his family in Birmingham. So came back here. I happened to know the guy that started Telegraph, and it worked out where I could come in as a partner there.
Right.
I knew the growth potential that we could have and what we could build together. And then the other partners were very attractive with their skill sets and experience in the industry. And I think it was about probably 12 people at the time that we joined.
Man.
And we're close to 40, a little bit over 40 right now.
So 12 people to 40 people. So that was 17, 18. You're looking at probably, 2019?
Yeah, we took over. Cliff became CEO in January of 20.
Okay,
right
wonderful time.
That was great. Yeah.
Wonderful time to take over as owner. So he took over in 20, and y'all were at 12 people then?
Yeah, I think we were probably about like 17 then.
Okay, so you went from 17, and you just told me a minute ago you're at 40 employees.
Yeah, it's been a great ride.
So at present, tell me, not day to day, but because every time I see BJ, he's wearing what he has on. Nike clothes, Jordans, extremely comfortable.
Yeah, only Nike, only Jordan.
Exactly. So as president, what does that entail for you? Because like that's a title, but like,
Sure.
Like what do you do?
Yeah, let's first of all, Telegraph Creative, full service marketing agency.
Okay.
So that everybody knows what we do. We create content, strategy, any kind of tech builds. So full gamut.
So y'all went from 80 clients when y'all took over.
Yep.
What are you at right now?
Probably about 40. And then
why? Okay, so how did you? So unpack that really quickly. Like,
Sure.
So you go from 80 to 40. Everybody's like, well, you cut 40 in client. No, like you made a shift in the model. How did you do that financially?
Interesting principle. And it was very hard. It was harder for me than anybody else there because you ask, what do I do as president? Well, my first responsibility is business development. So bringing new relationships to the table.
Right.
But in growing the business, it forced us to say no to money, which is a biz dev or sales guy or whatever. I want it all.
Yeah.
If this person's trying to spend X, I want it. And
But as sales, though, here's what I have to do too. I have to say no too, because I have to also know what my team. Two things: what my team can handle.
Sure.
Okay, so if it's something my team can't handle, we can't do it.
Right.
Number two, and here's the hard part, and this is what you probably had to deal with. Number two is it worth it?
Yeah, no doubt. You do
Because
a lot
like,
of work for nothing.
I turned down a ton of stuff this time of year, or even around Christmas, because we're full.
Sure.
And I can't. Me sending a team to do something for Table and Time for $60 a person is not worth it.
Right.
Because I've got something else that's $140 a person.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to sound bougie at all, but I also sit there and I
business.
go, it's a business, and I can't do this when I know I can do this.
Yeah, for sure. If you have the discipline to say no,
That's right.
then you can grow.
Yeah.
And again, that's harder for me than anybody else because I want it all.
Yeah.
But to be able to build a sustainable business, and you hit on something, there's seasons where it's very stressful in
Sure.
any business, but like if you just keep taking things and your team lives in a stressed out state, we wanted to create something that people enjoy coming to work every day. And if we're taking everything that comes, that it's going to bandwidth issues, they're going to be working all hours of the day and not have a great work-life balance. So part of the reason for the growth was definitely being able to say no to engagements. And I think that at 80 clients, we were probably saying yes to everything.
Sure.
At 40, there's got to be a reason why we say yes. Either the type of work that it is, how creative is it pushing the envelope, is the margins in it, is there future potential for relationship over time? Because that's what we really want. We want to be partners over time.
And I have someone that I work with that does not want to do the one-offs.
Yeah.
She does marketing and stuff like that. She's one person. Doesn't have 40 employees. She hates the one-off stuff.
Sure.
Because it's just like you spend tons and tons of time doing this, and all of a sudden they're gone, and you don't like to set relationships.
For sure.
What's the next step? What do you see that like the next 6 to 18 months for Telegraph as far as like this kind of out of the box, or that's a little bit different that you'd like to see?
Yeah, certainly don't have a crystal ball. I think the economy is going to play a factor in all of our businesses.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be fine. But I think that we're going to grow a lot.
Yeah.
We could be sitting here in 2 years and you tell me that we've doubled, and I'd probably not be shocked.
Not be shocked by it.
The pipeline is great. We've got relationships in place. And really, the one thing I want people to say about me is like, he is who he is. I'm gonna wear sweatpants, and those suit days are over for right now.
Few and far between.
But a lot of people in this space are not very good at what they do.
How so? What does that mean though?
I think that in life, even going back to college basketball, short term favors people that just talk a good game.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of over-promising and under-delivering. I think that has left space for us to be able to grow. And, I had no idea we were going to get down this road, but I kind of like where we're at. About the third new business meeting we were in at Telegraph, heard the same story. We left this person because da-da-da-da-da. And I hit the table and I said, man, agencies suck.
Yeah.
And a couple of our partners who are unbelievable both have 20 years. And it's not true that all agencies suck, but the ones that they left did.
Yeah.
And
okay, so let me ask you this. You're in meetings with people that are on your staff now, and they're saying...
And with new clients.
And they left this agency because of X or Y.
With our team pitching business.
And they're with people that you're trying to pitch business to.
And they're saying, we left this company because this. Then the next meeting we have, we left this company because this. And then this says, the past people that we worked with, they didn't communicate well. They didn't think about us. They didn't feel like partners.
Yeah.
And this is what we're looking for. And I said, well, we got to do things differently.
Yeah.
And that's part of our core values is like, we're going to be customer obsessed with what we do. And that doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect.
Sure.
But we're gonna treat you like you deserve to be treated if you trust us with your money. Yeah. And we're gonna communicate the curveballs and hiccups in the road as they come.
Right.
So I think that's probably a different approach than a lot of people take in this industry, and that's great. And I believe that's why we've been able to grow. Part of the reason.
I think agency work, though, from everything I've seen, is like I think what you guys used to be. It's high volume. Hire any random, Jane or John to come do SEO or come do websites or whatever. You guys can't do that. Like I've seen some of the work you guys done with, and I know some of your clients.
Sure.
Hiring great people is expensive.
It is. Which also forces you to say no because if I'm getting paid X for this and these people are getting paid X to work on this.
Then, doesn't even pay them.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about, as a salesperson, how do you go to a client, because this is super real right now, and it's going to get even more real, especially as the economy has no idea what we're going to do. How do you go to a client, because this is real life advice, how do you go to a client and say, hey, Susie, hey, John, we're going up on our retainer X number of %?
Yeah.
Have you had to do that?
I have not personally done it, but the guy that handles our accounts has.
Yes. But you're the bridge there between the account guy and your client.
So two of our partners, one of them, our chief creative officer, he's worked on Nintendo, Lego, Little Debbie, the who's who. Yeah. And then our guy that runs the accounts, and I say all the time, it's demeaning to call him an accounts guy because he's so much more than that. But that's his primary responsibility, the account relationships. And he's worked on, he's run Regions Bank, Little Debbie, Express Oil Change, Yellowwood now. So he has had to have some of those conversations, and for us to be able to give the people that trusted us with their money, you're going to hear me say that a lot if we keep going down this road, the people that trusted us with their money, which we all know money's not easy to make. No. So you're trusting me with this. For us to give you this level of service that you're expecting, this is what it costs.
Yeah.
And it's a pure numbers game. And,
it really, really is.
I think that one example of the way that we do things, we had an engagement. The first sprint was like making up numbers, or maybe it's actually $80,000 for the first sprint.
Yeah.
And we get through the first sprint, the invoice goes out for $37,000.
Oh.
And it came across my desk, and I'm like, well, 80 and 37 is a little different. And the guy that runs our account said, this is what we put into it. And at the end of the third sprint, these people were able to take that $40,000 and do something that had never been done in the state of Alabama before.
Wow.
And I think that...
So you quoted them 80, but it only cost 37.
It cost us 37.
And so we just charged them 37.
We just charged them what it cost us. It's a numbers game.
Wow.
It comes down to the numbers.
Yeah.
And we need a certain margin to be able to do business, but we're not trying to kill people and get rich quick. Because the way that you build a business, in my opinion, the little bit that I know, is you have relationships that last over time.
Yep.
And you help them win, because when they win, you will then win.
Yeah.
And the other, said two things that's important: being able to say no to money, having relationships that last over time, and that's being able to not lose those relationships is paramount, because it takes so much time to understand somebody's business. It takes time to figure out what works. It takes time to put the strategy together, and then you lose them. And now we got to go find another one, and we got to do all that work
over
to get
again
to the same point. In this industry, industries are different, but in this particular industry, you can't lose clients, and that's probably one of the reasons why we've been able to grow, is we've been able to retain most of our clients.
Okay. In 15 seconds, what is more important with retaining clients? Time or money? Go.
Hold on, I gotta understand.
What is more important in retaining clients? Time?
Like time you spend with them.
Or money?
The money that they spend with you.
No, the money you spend on them.
I certainly think that it's the time that you spend with them. I think spending money is important.
Sure.
For sure, but...
Because let's don't get it twisted. It ain't about just having coffee with somebody.
Sure.
It's about, but also too, deep relationships are made over time, over extended period of time. But what comes along with an extended period of time is money.
Sure.
But so you're saying, but you feel like the time is...
I'm trying to make sure I understand.
Yeah.
When you say money, that's the money that you spend on them, like gifts? Or,
yes.
No, I think that that's certainly an important part of any relationship. I look at a client the same as my wife. Courtney, what's more important to my wife? Do I spend time with her, or do I buy her a nice bracelet?
Yeah.
She'd rather have the time.
Sure.
I think the most important thing is the product that we put out.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose between time and money, it's the time.
It's the time.
Because I don't even like to use the word clients. It's our partners. I'm going on vacations with them. We're going to games. And a lot of the time, we don't even talk about business.
Sure.
A lot of the time. We talk about business in general, but not their business with us, like what ad is going out next. Where do you want to take your business? We have those conversations, but not in the weeds of the business.
We did this ad did this much. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so one of the things that we talked about earlier is you transitioned out of basketball. So you, much like I did, you played college basketball. I played college football. You did the coaching thing for 10 years. I did the coaching thing for 10 years. We both have the exact same story of, I think kid number 2 came along. Mm-hmm. My kid, it was kid number 2 came along. 3. Number 3 came along for you, and you got out, and you said it was a time family thing. How did that, tell me that transition, how that worked, like conversations with Courtney, because Courtney played college volleyball too.
She did.
Just like my wife.
She did.
So tell me about how those conversations went.
Which was why I was able to be successful in those 10 years, because she got it.
Yeah.
She wasn't fighting me. I was swimming downstream.
Yeah.
You know, when I look back, and I probably wouldn't have had this answer 3 years ago for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the industry or if it was my lack of discipline with where I was at in life. And it's not that I wasn't disciplined compared to some, but I didn't understand the importance of blocking my mornings for routines. I didn't understand the importance of having a 45-minute conversation not last an hour and a half. I didn't understand. I'm just full go, and I couldn't control it. I told somebody I was like a crackhead to recruiting.
Sure.
I was going to get the best players that we could get.
Didn't matter where they were.
And when you watch the team play, you go, man, how did these guys get here? Well, it took a lot of hard work and some scheming to make that happen. But I think I could have did it in a different way if I knew then what I know now. But the bad thing about that industry is there's no off hours.
Zero.
And
here's the thing, basketball is worse than football.
Kids on campus all year, that's one for sure.
Basketball is worse than football. Now look, I don't know if you follow the landscape of college sports these days, but it is. I got out the perfect time. We got out the perfect time because it's totally changed. Not even talking about NIL, but just all the things that go on. Okay, so here's my next question, because I get asked this. I can attribute a lot of my success to this. What'd you learn? What skill set did you learn coaching college basketball that is applicable every day in what you do with Telegraph? This could be an hour conversation itself.
Yeah, there's so many, but I think working hard is one thing, because if you're not, somebody else is. And this came before college basketball, really, to me becoming a college basketball player. Mm-hmm. I try and get my 12-year-old and my 10-year-old to understand this. If you're not working, somebody else is.
Sure.
If you have a day that you don't get better, somebody else did. And I would think about some kid somewhere shooting in French Lick, Indiana.
Yeah.
While I'm hanging out with my friends, I got to go get these shots up.
Right.
And I did it over and over and over, and I got to become a college basketball. But the skill set in college basketball, and it's funny to say blessed with the schools that I coached at, because it was difficult at times.
Sure.
But I think it's just basic problem solving.
Okay.
And I can remember when I was Division I assistant at Mississippi Valley, I'm in the gym in July watching AAU, and I'm also booking hotel rooms because our schedule got finalized.
Yeah.
And that's problem solving.
Sure.
Because I knew I had dinner afterwards with the AAU coach, and then whatever comes after that. So I just figured out how to problem solve on things, and I think that that's applicable. Recruiting is a hunt, and that's the same as sales. Which I couldn't imagine recruiting 86 or 90, however many football players, because the most we ever had was 15.
15, yeah.
But I think that the ability to solve problems, figure things out, adapt quick. This is my third industry in 5 years. But I also know that I don't have to know everything. And I'm pretty confident in that. I'm not the one that creates the funnel. I'm not the one that builds the website. I'm not the one that makes the logo. I know those guys, though. I know them. So working hard, problem solving, I think the ability to communicate and be genuine with people.
I tell people this all the time, that where else in the world are you going to have to, because in football you have to do this, where else in the world are you going to have to, all in the same day, you're going to have to sell.
Sure.
On the phone recruiting. You're going to have to solve a problem, because in most levels of college football, the panic button is not hit every day, but their panic button is like really, really close all the time.
Very close.
Okay. Like you said, watching a kid booking a hotel, because at all the lower levels, you got to do that. And the last thing is, where else in the same day are you going to have to prepare and speak in public?
Sure.
Every day.
Sure.
So I'm solving a problem, I'm selling, and I'm public speaking every day, because I had to give a meeting every day for 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, that's not just me standing up in front. That's me standing up in front talking about logistics, but then also having a script that I'm going through the film.
Sure.
So we have a desire, and I know you do too. We have a desire for our kids to play in college, not like manic, crazy soccer mom or soccer dad or travel baseball dad.
Yeah.
But we'd have that a pure desire for that, because I know what those things did for me.
No question.
So talking about parenting, and so you have a high level job, make good money, work a lot, but you like what you do.
Sure.
3 kids.
I do.
And you're going a lot with them.
Yes.
You got 3 soccer players. Talk about what's the key to making sure you're at soccer games, soccer practice, but still being super engaged with the client that pays you $500,000 a year?
Yeah, I think one, have I mentioned that my wife is amazing?
You have.
I have mentioned that.
Yeah.
She was out of town a couple weekends ago, and I looked at my 9-year-old. I said, if you can't find your uniform, you're not playing.
Yeah.
You want to play hide and go seek with the neighbors? Go play hide and go seek with your uniform. It's somewhere.
It's somewhere. Yeah.
Go find it.
Yeah.
So Courtney makes sure that the uniforms are laid out and the games are on the calendar. So that's really good for me, because it would be a train wreck if I was in charge of all that.
But let me stop you for a second. What all these people need to know too is Courtney's got a full-time job as well.
Yes, and mom and
yeah. So she's a full-time job.
Absolutely.
Does well financially.
Yeah.
Has to be in front of people all the time.
Yeah.
But she also does all the other stuff. So okay. So how does that? Give me the flow of how that works.
Yeah, I think it was pretty easy with 2.
Sure.
Now that the third one's playing, it's more complicated. I feel like a really good job of building relationships with teammates and their parents. So for instance, Saturday, Courtney was at the beach with a friend.
Okay.
Girls weekend, hang out.
Right. Gotta have them.
And we had 3 games at the same time.
Locally?
Okay. Thank God. And I hit one of my boys and I said, hey, do you mind if I drop Harper off on the way to Carly's game? Because then I have to go to Peyton's game. Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah. So it's just the group effort and we'll do that for other people.
Absolutely.
Constantly. And my kids love when other kids come, so it makes the ride better. So I think looking at it as what resources are out there other than just me and Courtney is very important. But I think it can be a lot what these kids are going through. I don't like youth sports. I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it.
Why is that? Your kids are like super involved in it. So
the pressure that comes along with it, giving up your weekends, all this effort and energy and resources that go into making it happen that we're talking about right now. But it's a necessary evil these days because kids are getting so specialized. Unless you're a freak athlete, I believe. Courtney started playing in 7th grade. But she could also touch the rim.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second. So like your kids play soccer.
They do.
Do they play anything else?
Carly plays basketball. Peyton played volleyball last year. And Harper she hasn't played anything else yet.
Yeah. Okay, but do you think, because I remember, so we'll go back to this. The best kids I recruited in college football.
Sure.
Was the kid, so we had one kid that was a freak athlete, played the Cowboys. He was nasty. He was crazy. But he was an all-state basketball player.
Yeah.
He ran track, and he played football.
Of course.
So I had a hard time getting in touch with the kid when I was going to visit him.
Of course.
Another kid who was a 5'9" kid that didn't run fast but could operate as a quarterback was an all-state basketball player. All-county basketball player, all-state baseball player, and all-state golfer, and an all-state football player. So I say all that to say the 2 best kids I ever recruited in college, they played multiple things.
Of course.
Are we losing that as a society?
I think you are.
Dang, I hate that, BJ.
And you know, I hear even locally here, somebody said you got to choose between soccer and volleyball. And I thought, well, if she's as good as her mom at volleyball, that's going to be a shame. Why do we have to choose?
But how do you know? How do you know? Like, you can't know until later on.
Sure.
But like, I didn't start growing until the 10th grade.
No question. I think that there's a couple things to address with this. One is the specialization of the sport right now, because if you play basketball over the winter during the soccer break, December and January, and the other girls play futsal, in 2 months they have grown and it puts you behind. They're 10 now, so there's room.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
But when you get to high school, some of these seasons run alongside and the coaches don't want you to play. And I think that's where the problem is.
I agree
because
with that.
I want my kids to play anything that they're good enough to play.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that we're losing it. I think research shows overwhelmingly that multiple sports is the best thing.
Well, I mean, and I don't want to say back when I was a kid, but I mean, you look at, there was a stat the other day on all these quarterbacks that played, I mean, from Tom Brady to Aaron Rodgers to, what's the guy that plays the Bills?
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen.
He's my fantasy quarterback.
On your fantasy team. All these guys played 2 and 3, and a couple of them even 4 sports.
Yeah.
I just don't want there to be a travel league that T-Man or Jonna or Georgia has to, I don't want them to miss anything, but I also want them to love playing. Because I remember sitting on the sidelines in college, my second year of college, and looking at this kid that was a year older than I was and talking about how bad he hated the game. Well,
this is interesting. And I struggle with this, and I don't feel like I'm more qualified to be sitting here talking to you than anybody else. I second guess a lot of things, and there's guys that are doing, I feel like, better than I'm doing at times with certain areas. But my wife said to my 12-year-old probably a year ago, and she said, the moment that you don't love this anymore, we don't have to do it. And I said, whoa, hold on. Let's think about that just for a second. I'm not saying that's not true. I just want to think about it. And one of the things that I would look at myself and say that I'm very proud of is a lot of the times I see both sides of an issue. People are arguing about X. I may believe one way, but I understand why you think that. I'm looking at the issue and I'm seeing both sides. Why does somebody believe this? Why do I believe this?
Right.
And when Courtney said that to Peyton, it's not always fun.
No.
It's not always fun.
I love my job. I've done 2 things today that have sucked.
I love my wife.
But she's done 3 things today that have been awful. No, I get
today,
it.
But I mean, it's not all candy, rainbows.
I think it's incredibly important, though, because I love what you said. I think it's incredibly important that we sit there and go, not everything that we do is sunshine and rainbows. Because it is not, you are not going to wake up every morning and go, I am so fired up to go work to 6 a.m. workouts.
I don't care who you are.
No. I agree with you.
No matter what job you have, no matter who you're married to.
There are parts that are not going to be great. And we have to communicate that to our kids, because here's the thing. It's so much out there. The whole you do you, the whole do what you love, the whole what Courtney said is, hey, the moment you don't like, no. Life is not easy. And if we stop and jump ship every time it gets hard, or quit a job, or, oh, I need to change careers, oh, the Holy Spirit's leading. No, the Holy Spirit is not leading you to a different thing. The Holy Spirit is making you tougher, and He is trying to get you to understand that things are hard. And if the more hard stuff that we do, the better off we're going to be on the back end.
No, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And I know what Courtney was meaning. I just wanted to talk Peyton through. Like you said, when you're 15 or 16 and everybody else has gone to a birthday party, and the next morning you have to get up at 6 o'clock and go do training.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It makes you uncomfortable.
You may throw up.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah. No.
And then you have to do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. That's not fun.
No.
I don't love this. But I have a goal that I'm trying to get to, and this is what I'm going to do to get myself there. And it's delayed gratification, just like anything else good in life. But
right.
it can't be, and I struggle with this, because when does it become a job? In college, it's certainly a job.
Sure.
You're getting paid to go there, whether it's NLI, scholarship, whatever.
Yeah.
We're putting the product out on the court or the field, and you're part of that. So this is a job.
Yeah.
Love it, hate it, whatever. We got a game to win Saturday.
Right.
High school, probably not like that, but at the same time, the coach gets fired if they lose games, so it's a job for him.
Right.
And, so when does it become, okay, this ain't fun. We're not out here kicking the ball around with our friends. We're really trying to accomplish something. And one little nugget that I think is really important to say before we move on. One thing that I think we have done a really, really good job of.
Meaning you and Courtney.
Me and Courtney.
Yeah.
And I think it comes naturally, but we have also been intentional with it, but it hasn't been as tough. We include the girls' friends.
Yeah.
When we're at a tournament, we're going to dinners. When we're at a tournament, we're having them at the pool and they're having fun. We're making videos. We're doing these things because I think that camaraderie and sense of team off the court makes the hard things bearable and at times enjoyable, because you're doing it with people that you care about. And we're very intentional. We don't eat alone when we're on the road.
Yeah.
We're having some teammate or the whole team together to eat. And I think that that's been an important part of hopefully stopping the burnout Or if they decide to do something else, it's totally their decision.
Sure. I think there's two things. I think the key to that is number one is the reason why I think that's a great idea is you are bringing people into your fold.
Sure.
As opposed to your kids going into someone else's fold. And that's why we have a home with a pool.
Same.
Sounds silly.
Same.
The best investment you can make, 1A and 1B, is a pool, but also being able to facilitate people being at your home because you dictate what they're watching, what they're monitoring, what they're drinking, what they're eating, all those things. And doing that on the road is absolutely critical. Because we experience it with travel volleyball.
Sure.
Because who your kids are around and what they see, they are like sponges. Like Georgia will say stuff that she heard 4 weeks ago that no one ever thought she heard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to be around someone that uses poor language, not like cussing, but like speaks poorly.
Sure. And
then pick that up. The other thing that I was going to say about the journey is I heard Huberman say this the other day, and I think you'll like this. You may have heard it before. So we are a dopamine-driven society, and from our phone dinging to watching something on a screen to whatever.
Sure.
But he said the research shows that when people collapse and you see people that crash and burn, he said it's because they're living for the destination as opposed to living along the journey. And when they get to the end of the destination, they crash and burn because they don't have something else to look forward to.
Yeah.
And so like the dopamine hits are the small wins along the way. And so I think that's really important that like me and Tegan and Georgia and Jonna, we communicate those dopamine hits along the way as opposed to you got to win every game.
Sure.
There's the crescendo is development, not the final thing.
1,000%. I had dinner last night with a client and a potential client and one of our account executives, and they left. They had something else they had to get into, and I stayed after, and I was talking to the account executive for a little bit, and I said, you remind me a lot of myself when I was your age. She's 24, really good at what she does, extremely ambitious.
Yeah.
And I told her the story when I got promoted from GA to top assistant.
Oh, yeah.
And 1 year in, I sat my boss down at 24, 25 and said, I want to be associate head coach. And I said, the guy at Valdosta just got named associate head coach. I feel like we have better players than they have, so I want to be associate head coach. And he said, you're not ready for that. And I was furious. And really what it did was it hurt our relationship in a way that manifested over time, and it was not good because I was so ambitious because I just wanted to get to the destination. And it's really the journey.
It sounds so cliche, but it's so true.
It's so true. In the process of becoming the best version of yourself that will actually get you there. And Jeremy McLean was the AD at Delta State when I was there. And he's now the AD at Southern Miss. Unbelievable, high level guy, inner circle. And 4-5 nights a week in Cleveland, Mississippi, me and Courtney would go to his house and have dinner and drink a Coors on the back porch.
Right.
And to think about the freedom that I had to be able to, when I was in town, a lot of the time I was recruiting, but when I was in town, we could sit on the porch and talk.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, I got a nice porch. I can't tell you the last time I was able to just sit out there, and I didn't enjoy it the way that I should have.
Sure.
If I knew then what I know now. Yeah. Because that was a season of life that's never going to be the same for me. And maybe when I'm in my 70s, I can sit on the porch but I was so worried about getting to the next spot. And part of that is what I feel like made me pretty good at things, but that cuts both ways because I missed a lot of the journey just worried about destination A, destination B, destination
What do you think
C.
you missed? What do you think you missed?
Spiritually, I was suffering.
Okay.
For sure.
That's good.
Health, Health, I was a little chubby back then.
A little chubby.
A little out
husky.
of shape. Yeah, I was
Husky.
putting extra pounder too.
That's right.
Which, by the way, you gave me some advice. Maybe the first time I
have
had
no
lunch
idea
with
what
you
you're fixing to say.
that changed my entire life.
Okay, what was it?
I walked in and I said, "How do I get my body to look like yours?" Do you remember what you said?
I don't. I think I do, but
Three things.
Say it. Okay, go ahead. What were they?
3 things.
Okay.
Move 6 days a week.
Okay. Yep.
2, eat real food.
Real food.
3, drink a bunch of water.
That's it.
And I said, "That's it."
That's it.
And I've been doing that for a couple years, and boy, you were right.
I'm telling you.
It's something exponential about
Yeah.
that 6th day, and then eating. And you didn't say eat 2,000 calories a day, or you didn't say eat 200 grams of protein. I've learned some other tricks along the way, but
Yeah.
that right there has forever changed my life. And
That's awesome.
I mean, I have abs right
You
now
do.
because of you.
And you didn't used to. It is not complicated. It's just not easy.
It ain't easy. Every time that alarm goes off, it's a war.
It is but here's the problem that people have with that is it is a layered compounding thing.
Can't even explain it.
So like we went for probably 6 or 7 months and didn't see each other. We talked to text a couple of times. We didn't see each other. And then you showed up for lunch one day and you had lost, I don't know if you lost a lot of weight. I just know you looked leaner.
Yeah, for sure.
And I looked at you, I was like, dude, what have you been doing?
3 things.
Yeah. What have you been doing? Well, you set out a goal. Tell them about your goal on the 5K goal.
Yeah. So each year I do something physical for a goal, and I'm not a good runner. Never.
Basketball guys hate it.
No, hate it. I do suicides
All day.
running for miles. I think 3.2 miles last year was the most that I've ever done.
Wow.
And I was doing that every Saturday, and I said, in 2022, I want to run a 5K in under 22 minutes.
Okay, how old are you?
41.
41 years old. Under how long?
22 minutes.
5K under 22 minutes. That was a goal.
Yeah.
So this goes to show you that you do not have to set out to run 4 marathons in a year. You want to run a 5K under a certain amount of time.
22 minutes.
Okay.
Yep, 7:03 pace probably to get it done.
How long before you said that till you did it?
I said it in January. That was my
Okay.
goal, January 1, and I did it in September.
So 9 months.
Yep.
But here's the thing. In that 9 months, you looked not completely different, but really different from when I saw you last.
Yeah.
Did you lose any physical weight?
Not a ton, but it changes the way your body looks.
You look different.
So certainly always going to do Iron Tribe. It's my jam.
Okay, communicate to people that aren't in Birmingham. Iron Tribe is a
Smarter version of CrossFit. I don't know the legalities of what it is, but that's what it reminds me of. It's a high intensity interval type training, and it's a smart man's version of CrossFit, trying to keep from getting injured. And that's my thing in the gym. My number one goal, I don't want to get hurt.
Leave healthy.
I didn't say PR, my clean and jerk.
No.
I want to be able to work out the next day. My number 2 goal is to make Courtney want to see me with my shirt off.
No clothes.
You know, we're in this
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
No doubt.
People think that like there's vanity. There is nothing wrong with wanting to look better naked. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And people don't want to say that, and the funny people do say that, like people like me and you. But because here's what goes along with it. At some point, we all transition in a competitive thought process. And I looked at Jackie the other day and I said, we all compete for something. At some point, there's a transition to where we have to compete from looking better naked or a PR to my goal now is to live as long as I possibly can.
For sure.
And I tell people this all the time. I want to teach my grandkids how to throw a football.
Yeah.
You want to teach your grandkids how to shoot a basketball. And it's a slow transition, but man, that should be part of our goal, is to how healthy can we be and live as long and as fruitful as we possibly can.
No question.
And
that was my third.
Yeah.
So 2, look good naked. 3, be healthy. So do Iron Tribe 3 days a week.
Okay.
I run intervals on Wednesday, and then I run distance on Saturday. Distance being 6.2 for my
That's
training.
only 5 days.
Iron Tribe 3. Oh, yoga on Thursday. Do yoga on Thursday. Yoga.
When did we pick this up?
Probably about 6 months ago, and it's very hard. Very, very hard.
Where do you do that at?
The John Hand Club with a couple buddies.
Really?
On the balcony when the weather's nice.
Nice.
It's not a bad situation.
What made you do that?
So there's a guy there that's a member. He's a lawyer. He is insanely goal-oriented.
Okay.
One day I was in there doing burpees in quarantine. He said, what are you doing? I said, I do 100 burpees for time. He said, what's your time? I said, I try and keep it under 8 minutes. And he said, I'm going to do that. So he tried it, and he got 40 in 8 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Dying. 6 months later, he put together a program, and he got 108 minutes.
Wow. Almost
died after that. It was a tough one.
Sure.
So he was telling me how much better yoga made him feel, and I'm like, I got to do – no, that's not I want to be flexible and be able to move. And mentally, it's intense because you got to hold a position and focus on your breath, and you're really in the moment with it. So I've enjoyed that. But
that's awesome.
It's totally changed my body. The day that I got the PR, so going into the year, the fastest I had ever done it was 24:14.
Wow.
I got 21:43.
So, okay, over 10%.
Yes.
Wow.
And I had run 300 miles this year, trying to get to it. 3 on Wednesdays, 6 on Saturdays.
Okay.
And close to 50 miles a week, something like that. 50 miles a month.
Talk to me about food. Did you when you set this goal in January, did you do anything with food differently?
No, I mean, I had it pretty dialed in. Higher protein. I've been on a lot of protein. Not my body weight in grams, but probably 120, 130, 140 a day.
Okay.
And I think that's a hack that everybody needs to know. I don't limit carbs. I probably limit bad carbs at times, but
totally.
I think carbs are very important to the way that your body works.
It's extremely important to the way you think too. People don't understand that. You got to have those to think clearly.
Yeah, I was on keto when I first got here, and I was dying in workouts.
Yeah,
and
that's a whole nother conversation.
My point guard left Moorhead, transferred to Alabama, starting point guard at Alabama. He called me to check on me. I so out of breath I couldn't talk. He's like, what are you doing? I said, I just got murdered in a workout. And he's like, what, did you go hard? And I was like, it wasn't that hard of a workout.
Wow.
And he said, you should talk to the nutritionist. So I talked to the nutritionist, and she said, you're doing keto and CrossFit? Like, those two things don't go together.
Yeah.
So but higher protein, real hack, in my opinion. A lot of water. And then that's nothing crazy. Stretching.
The yoga thing's huge.
Hard too.
Yeah.
It ain't easy.
No.
I mean, there's times when it's worse than that 3rd mile repeat that I'm doing.
Transitioning. What do you and Courtney, because I love your wife. She's wonderful.
She's great.
What do you guys do with a lot of intentionality to make sure that you're keeping y'all's relationship at the forefront so that the kids are not taking front and center, and either job is not taking front and center? Is there anything you do intentionally?
Yeah, mommy daddy time for sure.
Sure. So that's super personal. Do you call it that with your kids?
No, my kids, no.
No, I'm not talking about sex. Hey, I mean, but do you say to your kids, mommy daddy time? How do y'all communicate that?
I mean, they know we go on dates and away for the weekends at times or whatever, but like, we wait till they go to bed. Yeah. It's every Sunday night. It's
perfect.
One of my buddies said you got 4 masters or 4 majors in a year, like, your birthday, Valentine's Day, Christmas, whatever. I got one every Sunday.
That's
man.
Right. Hey, so this is really personal. So we back probably 5 or 6 years ago, we weren't struggling in any way, but we had reached a point. Dude, we scheduled sex twice a week.
Yeah. You schedule everything. You schedule the dog's vet appointment.
Yeah. So we did that twice a week, and we don't do it now, but we have sex now, but we don't schedule.
You should go back to it.
Yeah. But it was huge.
Yeah.
Because it was like, here's the hard part about sex and marriage is the expectations.
Sure.
And it, for a while there, because we were super young, I want to say we hadn't been married too long. And what it did is it made us appreciate that. And sometimes it was like, oh God, but then we went and did it anyway. But it was awesome. Yeah, it was a wonderful time. So I would say, so obviously that type thing. Anything else? I talked about date nights. You talked about weekends. Do y'all say, okay, we're going to do this many times? Because you turn around twice and you haven't dated in 6 months.
Yeah, no, I think that there's areas where I think that we're doing really well, and then there's areas I think we should be better at. Cliff does a great job of this. Every other Thursday, him and his wife try a different restaurant in Birmingham. Yeah. Follow him on Instagram. He puts up where they go. It's pretty interesting. But we're not on a schedule like that, and I think that their seasons need to be more intentional for sure. Yeah. But sometimes it's, I believe, I don't know if she would agree with this, but it's the small things, calling and checking on her during the day. Yeah. We've just moved into a new house, so that's been a transition. So we need to get better at that, but just being intentional with the small things, and then making sure that we have time that's just for me and her is,
and the kids know that,
really important. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna challenge you with something.
Talk to me.
So 21, and we haven't done it near like this in 22. Not awful, but just not near as good. In 21, Jack and I.
21 date nights, right?
No, what? 40.
Okay, that's right.
40 dates. Okay, figure out a number, and y'all set a number, and do like Cliff and them do, and go to somewhere different. It doesn't have, like, sometimes we went, it was a $40 meal. Yeah. And then sometimes it was $250. I mean, so like, it varies. Sure. But get a number and sit down and go, hey, what?
Well, see, I think I'm in on that. I'll figure out what the number is. But a lot of our jobs, we're hosting and dinners. Yeah. And so we're spending time. It's just not time with each other. And I think that this is going to be a hot take. Maybe you disagree with me and we can talk through it. I don't know that you have to have dinner with just your spouse to be able to grow closer. Because if we had dinner with you guys and had a great time, that's also growing as a couple. Again, time together is certainly important. Don't mistake that. Right. But I don't think that that's just the only way.
No, I totally agree. Because on those 40 dates, we went out with a handful of people on those. Right. But this sounds so bad. But I almost think it needs to be in situations where you're not with your kids.
Sure. No, I agree with that.
So if you have 40 dates or 30 dates, I do think that some of them need to be alone. But I don't think that they have to all be alone in order for them to be productive. I do think, though, that you should, and I hate to be a counter, but I do think, though, you shouldn't count. You need to make sure there's time without your kids, because when you're with your kids, you're in a different mindset.
No question.
I'm managing them. You're managing them. Why is he not managing them? Why is she not managing them? And so you think differently. And when you're with someone else, another couple, or by yourself, it's just a different deal.
No, I totally agree with that. And I think intentionality is one of the core pillars in our business, and I think it's so important with her. Like, for instance, we're going to Florida this weekend for 3v3 national championship.
Soccer.
So Carly's team, the 10-year-old, they won it last year.
Okay.
We'll see if they can repeat this year. And Peyton is playing, the 12-year-old. There's going to be kids there, but I'm also going to make sure that, like, she has a really good time this weekend at times. So just being intentional with the small things, again, it's seasons in life. Some seasons are busier than other at work. Some are busier than other at home. But the intentionality on the small things, I think, can make up for a lack of other things at times. Yeah. Because I genuinely care how her day was today. And I want to know that. Would I love to have dinner with her tonight? I would, but 2 of the kids have practice, and I have a dinner that I got to be at, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we struggle with it this year. We struggle with it this year too, because I helped Tegan's OTM basketball team back in January through March.
So is it a bunch of like guys that are football players that
I'll tell you this,
because that's what I guarantee you can rebound and play really good defense.
I am the best get back coach and effort coach out there. I will challenge
5 fouls.
Very quickly.
Yeah, I guarantee
I'm the bet, but like from a coaching standpoint, the guy asked me, he's like, hey, you want to coach again this year? I was like, listen, you got to get somebody that knows X's and O's and strategy. I said, I don't know that. I understand basketball. I understand all that. But I will be the best effort coach and the best get back coach.
The things we can control.
The things we, but I don't know other stuff. I don't know anything about it. So talk, like I had to do a lot of that. Jonna and Jackie organized a club volleyball team. This is the second year we're doing that this year. So she's had to do more. It was a full season. Now we probably dated, this sounds horrible, probably 10 or 15 times this year as opposed to 42 last year.
It's tough.
I got a little time left, but we always take our yearly trip. We got back from that this past week, and that's always good. What is Courtney's love language?
I think words of affirmation for sure.
Okay, that's number 5 for my wife. Go ahead.
I would like to say physical touch is.
Yeah. Most time it's not.
At times though.
Yeah, exactly.
She's not a big presence person, but I would say words of affirmation is probably her biggest, and then I'm a what's the one service?
Acts of service.
Acts of service. I think that's probably one for her. And one of my favorite things about Courtney, we went on a recruiting trip when I was at Delta State, me and one of the other assistants. And his wife was complaining about him having to go. Actually, I got a better one than that. We're at the SWAC tournament in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
Courtney's pregnant with Carly.
Okay.
She's in labor.
Oh.
Goes into labor. Coach's wife comes up to me at halftime, second round of the tournament. Hey, just got a call from Courtney. She's in labor. Jeremy, who's the AD at Delta State, his wife came over and got Peyton. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop it, so the baby will be coming soon. And she said, but you can call her after the game. She said, just hit her after the game. And I was like, well, why would you tell me that at halftime?
Yeah.
Rather not know that,
yeah.
But touche, thank you.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking about Courtney and the baby the whole second half. We win. That was great. Call her. They've scheduled it at like 5 or 6 the next morning. There's no flights out of Dallas. I can't drive in time. I'd have to go find a rental car. Rental car places are closed. My scout Saturday, probably my scout Sunday. I call her and she's like, just stay there and get a ring. And I think that in her mind, which is ultimately the truth, which I think a lot of spouses don't recognize, and notice that I didn't say wives don't recognize, even though the case is a lot of the time wives, but there's also husbands that don't recognize these things in this situation. That was an act of service for me to stay and win that championship. Because of that, we got the Morehead State job. And my service is providing a lifestyle of protection. And I think that she recognized that in a way that a lot of spouses don't. And I recognize the fact that she does the kids' laundry
all the time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I told the kids the other day, I said, guys, have you told your mom that you love her today? I said, you guys are lucky, blessed. Because if it wasn't for her, there'd be times when I'd forget to feed you guys.
Yeah.
No food at the house. I don't know what. Got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I think that she recognizes those acts of service. It's not mowing the lawn for me.
Right.
Got somebody to do that. But it is working hard when I'm at work.
Absolutely.
It is building relationships. It's, so I think that would be hers. And then words of affirmation are big for her. And physical touch at times.
Physical touch. Words of affirmation is probably the lowest on Jackie's. She is quality time and gifts.
Yeah, big quality time, gifts the lowest for Courtney.
Yeah, she's quality time and gifts, which those are the two things that I struggle with the most.
Yeah,
because I'm not a gift receiver. If you bought me something, oh man, that's awesome, but I'm not just like over the moon.
I buy my own gifts. At this point.
That's what I tell people. If I find something I like, I'll go buy it. So, I transitioned, not Telegraph, not family. What are you working on right now? What are you studying, super interested in right now? It's taking up time outside of your job and your family.
Yeah, I've got a couple side hustles that I'm willing into fruition. I've started to enjoy reading. I think that I used to make myself.
Sure.
But I'm in Atomic Habits right now.
It's great.
And super fascinated by that. I've listened to the audiobook, and now I'm going through the book, and then I also have the workbook that I'm going through at the end of every chapter. But that's really, I'm enjoying digging in on that.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple of things that I'm working on the side that we'll see how they materialize. But really trying to be present for the kids, man.
Yeah.
Like it's I mean, in 6 years, my oldest is going to be gone. And these 6 years aren't the same as the first 6 years.
No.
So a lot of my energy is spent, even if it's taking her outside to get a workout in, whatever
Being
it is.
with them.
And with 3 that close in age, it can be overwhelming when they're together. But they're so cool when you get them by themselves. Like
you got it, but you got to get them by themselves at some point, BJ. Like
I know,
you
for
got.
sure.
I mean, I know you're saying you are, because there's always one that overwhelms the other two.
Man, I got one that is very
and so
overwhelming.
Like being able to spend extremely focused time with Georgia is important.
Sure.
Same with Jonna.
Sure.
Obviously the same with Tegan because he's the only boy. But it's super critical.
Yeah, I know. And it's forced to be able to get them by themselves.
Mm-hmm. But that's fine.
But it's not forced to actually. I like hanging out with them.
Yeah. Me too.
Dude, my 12-year-old is super cool. My other ones are cool too. She's just at the age where we can have intelligent conversations.
Exactly.
She's thinking about things differently. She's funny. All of them are funny. But when I sit down, I could legit chill with her. I bring her anywhere with me. She's like and the same with the middle one and the youngest one. They're different ages, so there's different attention spans and
different things
what
you
they
talk
wanna
about.
do, sure, but the one-on-one time is important, and I think that this season of life we're trying to build something special with Telegraph, trying to build something special with the family. So a lot of the energy is going into that right now.
Yeah, that's good.
What
sure.
else? What are you reading right now?
I'm studying a lot of IBC stuff, which is infinite banking concept.
Sounds great.
It's just another way to grow wealth that's really, really counterintuitive to what a lot of people think. I've spent a ton of time researching that. Infinite banking. So it's being your own banker.
Okay.
So if I need to go buy a car or whatever, I borrow the money for myself and pay it back, as opposed to using a bank.
Yeah.
It is a strategy for pretty high, super wealthy people have been using it for years. And so it's not like something that's super popular. So I would say 1% of 1% of the people in America do it.
Sure.
So I've been studying that a lot lately. I just got finished reading a book called Unreasonable Hospitality, which was absolutely wonderful. I learned so much from it. Obviously, I'm in hospitality, so.
Sure.
But the IBC stuff, I'm really digging on right now. And then I've always got something to read. You need to read Wealthy Gardener.
Wealthy Gardener.
Yep.
I trust you.
It's wonderful. It's a parable story where the guy, parable, real life. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
400 pages. Best book I've read in the last 8 years.
The Wealthy Gardener.
Wealthy Gardener.
In on that.
It is wonderful.
Do I got to read it or listen to it? Because there's some books that are good listens.
I mean, I didn't listen to it, I read it. But I read it, underlined a ton of stuff, and then went back through and read all the underlined stuff. That's how good it was. It's 400 pages. It's wonderful.
I'm on it.
So,
I'm on it.
Anything else? What else you got?
Talk about this amazing building right here. Whew.
Yeah.
This is about as good as it gets anywhere, right?
So the funny thing is, Matt Miner, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt was at the open house, and he said when people walked in the door, they were shocked at how awesome Highlands College is. Just, I mean, the floor, the walls, everything here is unbelievable, because all 20x whatever campuses they have, they all look the same.
Sure.
They're nice buildings, but they're all the same.
As by design.
By design, but this place is just next level. And what they do here, I mean, you know Mark real well. Mark Pettis, the president, he's done a phenomenal job at creating a space where kids that are super focused on being in ministry can come and learn at the highest level. Yeah. It's like, I mean, this sounds really silly. It's like if you're a football player going to Alabama. Mm-hmm. If you're a football player, your goal most of the time is to go to the NFL and to be the best you can ever be. If you want to be in ministry and you have that just deep desire, and it could be worship, it could be creative, it could be pastoring, come to here. And Mark's done and his staff have done a great job at like figuring out how to make this place a breeding ground for the best in ministry anywhere. Yeah. And so it's just super blessing just to be here. I mean, podcast studio, the building, the food hall, all those things. So yeah, this is awesome, man. Yeah. It's special. It is. It really is a special place. Between Mark and Pastor Chris, and they've done a wonderful job. So yeah. But speaking of, you and Mark just had a adventure, huh? We did. We trained and went and hiked the Grand Canyon, rim to rim, 22 miles. It was great. It was hard. What's the elevation on that? 7,000 feet to 2,400 feet to 8,200 feet. And that took how long? 8 hours and 42 minutes. Wow. Average moving pace of 19 and a half minutes, which is about what I thought. Went from start at 25 degrees in the morning, got to about 82, and then dropped down to about 50. Well, let me ask you a question. Yeah. Somebody says, for $1 million, yeah, you by yourself can get from one side to the other. What's the number where you're like, I think I could, but 6 hours? Okay. You by yourself. So great thought. Do you know Dusty Davis? Don't. Dusty, the quick backstory. Dusty was involved in ministry when I was in college. He was my FCA, Athletes in Action guy at UAB. Incredibly important person in my life. Dusty's 59, and he looks like he's about 32. Mm-hmm. He's shredded. He did it in 6 hours by himself. Could I do that? I could do it. I could probably do it in I could probably do it in 6 hours, but it would 5:30. No, for $1 million. You give me a year to train, yeah, and I could do it. But like, the hard part is this: we are in Alabama. The highest point in Alabama is like 2,200 feet. The bottom of the Grand Canyon is 2,400 feet. Yeah. Put that into perspective. So I'd have to go and travel to train. Sure. So it was wonderful, though. You know, one thing that you just mentioned that brought something to my mind when I was talking about my goal for the 5K. Yeah. I had to go running a 5K every Saturday. Yeah. Getting slower. And it was harder. Now there's some elevation in the neighborhood, but I'm like, do it in 27 minutes, 28 minutes, bad day, 30 minutes. And I'm like, 2.5 months in, I'm not getting any better. Wow. And I called one of my boys. Yeah. Ran track in college. His name's Brian McCarthy, Birmingham Orthodontics, one of our clients, really good friend. I said, hey, man, what's the deal here? What do I need to do? And he goes, dude, you don't get faster by running the same speed. So I said, well, tell me what to do. He said, you got to do it twice a week. And I said, okay. And he said, one day, long and slow. Just run what your body lets you run. Could be 10 minutes, could be 9, could be 9:30, could be 10:30. One day, run intervals and get your body used to running faster. And that bit of information changed everything. Yeah. I would not have hit my goal if it wasn't for him. A 5-minute phone call. 5-minute phone call. And then I thought, why didn't I call him 3 months ago? And really, he's such a good friend.
Probably July. There was a Mike Sly fundraiser that I went to do their run, and he came out to pace me to see if I could break it, and I died in the last 800-ish. So I didn't get it that day, but I still PR'd.
Right.
But I was frustrated, furious. But like, he's such a good friend. He didn't just say, "I'll give you the information on it.
Let me come help.
I'm gonna come pace you."
That's awesome.
And I think that's when you switch industries and you're trying to be successful. I mentioned earlier, I don't know everything. I don't have to know everything, but I know how to find out. I know how to problem solve, and that's
finding the people. Coach Bowden said it years ago, and Chuck always talked about it. You never want to hire. You never want to be when you're hiring. You never want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Sure.
In that particular area.
Sure.
Go hire a quarterback coach that knows more about quarterbacks than you.
No question.
Go hire a whatever that knows more about. It's huge.
In fact, jumping back to college athletics, these programs at a high level, if I had to choose between a good ball coach and a good CEO, I may say good CEO because you can get a good quarterback coach, you can get a good wide receivers coach. We got to learn how to organize this organization, and my guy runs. I'm going to ask him, how do I run faster? Because I want to run faster.
Well, they've got the 10,000 hours invested in that thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're right. It's huge to make sure you are getting good information from whoever.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's listening, I would say, call somebody and ask.
Yeah.
What are you trying to figure out? What's your goals right now? Call somebody and ask.
Yep. Absolutely.
Take 10 minutes and call somebody.
Don't take it out. So.
Yeah.
Well, good. Hey, I appreciate it.
I'll do this every day.
Good information. Where can people find either you or Telegraph if they want to get in touch with
Telegraph
the agency?
Creative. We're on Instagram, Google website. We're on all that. You put a link on for my personal stuff when you put it out.
All right, perfect. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No, I'm glad to be here, man.